The International Disability Alliance, or IDA, is a global network of organizations of persons with disabilities, representing and advocating for the rights of 1 billion persons with disabilities around the world. Since the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities came into force, IDA members have continued to work together to refine their understanding of how to implement it. Article 24 of the CRPD recognizes the right to education for all persons with disabilities. Additionally, Sustainable Development Goal number 4, or SDG 4, focuses on ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education for all. What this video presents is the consensus position agreed by IDA members as part of its Inclusive Education Flagship Initiative to make a case for inclusive education as a fundamental right for all learners, including learners with disabilities.
There's widespread recognition that the world is now facing both a schooling and a learning crisis. Far too many school-aged children and adolescents are out of school, and many who attend school are not learning. And persons with disabilities are most affected by these crises. Either they're out of school, or maybe attend school for a very short time, or they're not benefiting from the experience. The only way to respond to these crises and ensure a quality education for learners with disabilities is to build a truly inclusive and accessible education system for all. In an inclusive education system, all learners with and without disabilities learn together in classes in their local community schools. They receive the support they need from preschool right through secondary, tertiary, and vocational education in inclusive and accessible schools. Some learners, both those with and without disabilities, may choose to attend schools outside of their local communities in order to benefit from quality bilingual sign language, to acquire skills and knowledge, or to get specific support that is not yet available in their local community schools. But these settings also must be inclusive settings. An inclusive education is geared to foster equity, quality, and inclusion. It's essential that all education facilities, whether they're private or public, are regulated by ministries of education or the ministry that's appropriate for preschool, vocational, or lifelong learning. Inclusive systems also require the enforcement of non-discrimination and zero rejection policies. Everyone can be accepted, and they must provide reasonable accommodation at all levels and in all systems of education.
An inclusive education system requires investments. First of all, investments in the recruiting and training of teachers, including those with disabilities. Secondly, to bring about reforms for universal design in learning. Thirdly, for accessibility in the structures, materials, and setup for the educational system, as well as for assistive products and technology. And finally, we need a well-resourced support system for the schools and for all teachers. If we do these things, we will have an inclusive education system.
A diversity of languages, including sign language and tactile sign language, and modes of communication must be used throughout the system with teachers who have full fluency. Special schools and other segregated settings must be progressively phased out, with key human resources and knowledge assets converted to support equal access and inclusion. Because of their critical role in language acquisition for deaf children, schools for the deaf need to be supported. To become inclusive bilingual sign language schools.
Data should be consistently collected, disaggregated, and analyzed to ensure adequate monitoring and resourcing of inclusive and equitable quality education. In decentralized systems, a consistent set of regulations, accountability mechanisms, and resource planning for inclusive education at the different levels of government must be ensured. A multi-stakeholder engagement between parents, communities, educators, support services, schools, and ministries of education must be enabled to ensure equal access and effective inclusion. In coordination with the education system, a range of support services need to be available for children and their parents from an early age for the development of specific skills and language acquisition. Moreover, coverage of disability, extra cost, and overall support must be provided. To learn more about the International Disability Alliance's work on inclusive education, please visit www.internationaldisabilityalliance.org.